This is a spoiler alert for Doctor Who Before the Flood. If you have not watched it yet, then what are you waiting for? Go and watch it now. Go on. Sorry about the technical difficulties there.
We always have difficulties, don't we? We have technical difficulties. They follow us around wherever we are.
Yeah.
It's because we're not very professional, really, are we?
But welcome!
Welcome
to Doctor Who Time and Space, episode 129. I'm Lewis Moon.
And I'm D Cool.
Can you believe we've done 129 episodes?
I can't, no.
No.
Have we really?
Yeah.
Have we? Crumbs. That is amazing, isn't it?
I counted them one day.
Yeah. No, it's amazing, isn't it? You literally counted them?
No, because they were written.
You wrote all the numbers down.
I calculated them together.
So what do we have on this week's milestone show?
Wow, not really a milestone. 129. It's more like 150 where we celebrate.
We can have a milestone if we want.
We could have a milestone, yeah. But every week's a milestone at the moment because today we are going to be reviewing Before the Flood.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So, Series 9 continues as a roller coaster of emotion and fun. We also have news and views from the Whoniverse.
We have a preview for The Girl Who Died, which includes a few little sneak peeks.
And we will be having a sort of a little feature where we will talk about some of our favourite historic episodes of Doctor Who episodes back in time.
So it's going to be a good episode of the podcast today.
Hopefully, with no technical problems. We've got them all out of the way, haven't we?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So, is it my turn to give a story roundup?
Yeah, you do a bit of a roundup of this week. So part 2.
The story begins. Well, last time we got treated to that cliffhanger with the Doctor as a ghost. This episode begins with the Doctor talking to the camera and breaking the fourth wall, and he ponders the mystery: who composed Beethoven's Fifth? And he gets out his guitar and plays the Doctor Who theme. We'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. Then what happens after the title sequence is the Doctor, Bennett, and O'Donnell arrive in the past in Scotland, I think it is. Not in a past place which isn't flooded. It's Before the Flood. That's why the episode's called Before the Flood. And they see the tomb, and they see the spaceship, which doesn't have the writing on the wall yet. Then I think Prentice comes along, doesn't he?
I think he does, yeah.
Prentice comes along. He's this man at a funeral parlour.
He's not a man, is he?
Well, he's a Tivolian.
Tivolian, yeah.
Which is the same race as Gibbous from the God Complex. And what was I going to say? Yeah, later in a minute. Wait, no. Hard to remember that. Yeah. Then what happens is Prentice dies, and meanwhile is the Doctor, Clara, Bennett, and Cass find the ghost, but the ghost of the Doctor, and it's saying different words, and it's saying the order of the people who die. But what happens is they hide. The Doctor ghost lets the other ghosts out of the Faraday cage, and Clara and the crew members hide in the Faraday cage, and but it's because they have a mobile phone, which is the way they transmit. And the doctor says, "Look after this mobile phone." And Clara goes there. The ghost takes it, and should I say any more?
I think the only thing.
But then later on, with an expected death, the doctor finally encounters the fish again.
So there we have it.
Quite a long synopsis, but
it was, wasn't it? What was your general thoughts?
I thought this episode was a bit disappointing because I was expecting this to be the big fish of the series, but it wasn't. It didn't. It was nowhere near as good as the first 3 episodes in the season. It still delivered some great scenes, but there were some criticisms that I have over it. And those criticisms are things that most people like. But it's very different because I don't usually criticize stories right after they've been on. But this one, I just thought when it had ended, I thought it's a bit rushed and it's a bit... There were some characters and monsters wasted and everything. Overall, the characters were developed better, and I thought they were good. The characters were good. The Doctor was good, and the way Clara treated the crew members was good. There were some great bits about the episode, but I just thought that it was very disappointing after my anticipation.
Okay. My thoughts are probably fairly similar. I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
I really liked this story. I really liked this episode. My only reason I have some disappointment with it was purely because it didn't quite live up to how good the first part was. And I'm sort of basically replicating a little bit what I just said when we did the vidcast just previously before this. But if you watch this as a standalone story, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
And you think, what a brilliant episode of Doctor Who that was. I love it. But because last week's, the first part of this 2-parter was such a great atmospheric story, it just felt like it didn't quite live up to that.
No. This was sort of a bit more confusing than the first one, wasn't it? Because the first one was sort of more like a traditional sort of Doctor Who episode. But because it's sort of a different type of 2-parter, it's not as traditional as a Doctor Who story. There are some traditional elements and everything, but it's quite confusing.
Yeah.
It would be an alright episode to start on, definitely with the first one. But the second part is quite confusing for people who don't like that sort of thing.
It was quite interesting though, wasn't it? Because we're both of the same opinion that part 1 was really fantastic, and this one was really good, but wasn't as good as the first part.
Yeah.
But when we started writing down for Behind the Sofa earlier, our favourite bits, most of these favourite bits were in the second part, and that's the weird thing about it.
Favourite bits. Should I tell you my favourite bit?
Yeah, talk a little bit about the favourite bits.
My favourite bit in this episode, maybe even my favourite bit in that whole entire story, but my favourite bit in part 2, and maybe overall, is the scene, which is a very atmospheric scene, when Cass is being chased by the ghost, and is very atmospheric because she's deaf. She can't hear the axe going along the ground.
But
we can, but then it shows you what it would be like for her. So it's a very effective and atmospheric sequence in the episode.
You've also got the really great bit of dialogue between Clara and Cass when Clara sent Lun out to rescue the mobile phone that's been stolen by the ghost. And just all of a sudden you get the real hard-edged part of Clara coming through, don't you? You get the Clara who's becoming more and more like the Doctor with every episode, in that while she wants to save people, while she's the emotional one, she's the one that's willing to write out the cards with the how the Doctor can deal with awkward situations. When it comes down to it, when it comes down to saving herself, saving the Doctor and saving the rest of this crew, she's willing to put Lun at risk, which a Doctor would do.
What I like about Clara is she's different with every series. I mean, series 7 we saw like this mystery wrapped in an enigma, which was sort of like the story arc with her.
Although if I could just say, I think the only thing with series 7 is I think the mystery was bigger than Clara.
Yeah.
It sort of engulfed her a bit, didn't it?
I know. And then series 8, she was sort of more angry and sort of more like the 12th Doctor, and more sort of, like the 12th Doctor.
She was in love.
And in this series, she's just got a thrill for adventure, a seeking for adventure, and she's sort of become a bit unlikable because she's putting people's lives at risk, and she's being even more like the Doctor than she was in series 8.
I think that's right. Is she more unlikable? I don't know.
Maybe.
Do you think which Clara do you like best out of these three?
I like series 8 Clara. Season 9 Clara's quite good, but I like season 8 Clara the best.
Other best bits that we saw, I think I was really looking forward for seeing Prentice.
Yes.
Like the actor.
Yeah, Paul Kaye.
Paul Kaye, yeah, I like him anyway.
He was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And he was also Dennis Pennis, who used to play tricks on people, which is always quite funny.
You said about that.
What I really liked about the Prentice character was that we saw him as a ghost first, which is quite odd, wasn't it? The whole way that the story was switched around. So we saw, in many ways, we saw the modern day stuff first.
Yeah,
and then we saw the past afterwards, and therefore we saw this real scary figure. And you thought he was going. You just assumed that Prentice was going to be this real edgy, stern character, whereas actually, isn't when we see him before he died, he's this very jovial Undertaker with a. I don't know. You just want to give him a big hug, don't you? Like this rat-like thing going.
Now we thought that that Prentice was very underused, but we thought he wasn't the only thing that was underused in this story, because we had the Fisher King, which was quite a cool and good idea for a monster. But do you think he was actually necessary for the story?
No.
I think there needed to be something, like we said. We were watching the fan show, and we agreed with one of them that said that it could have just been the spaceship and there was no need for the Fisher King. Yeah,
it could have been some other reason that this message was being sent with these spirits, couldn't it?
Yeah.
No, I'd agree. I think the Fisher King looked brilliant.
It did.
It was a really great idea for the villain.
Good look.
Reminded me a little bit of the school rock Blitzer.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
In the Caretaker, insofar as it was this fairly cool-looking creature. I mean, I thought the Blitzer was quite cool as well. This cool creature that's there, but isn't really that essential to the story. They're there as a means.
Because the Scorebox Blitzer was only there to set up the storyline between Danny Pink and the Doctor.
Yeah.
But the Fisher King was set up for the ghosts.
Yeah.
But there could have been something else, as we said, to set up the ghosts and create the ghosts.
What we did get is a really great face-off between the Doctor and the Fisher King.
There were 3 great face-offs in this one, weren't there?
There was. Yeah. So the Doctor and the Fisher King. Doctor and the guy who's Bennett.
And there was Cass and Clara,
yeah,
which was a great sequence.
Yeah. What was quite interesting about the face-off with the Doctor, aside from the fact that the Fisher King is this huge beast, big sort of warlord,
that's creating the ghosts.
Yeah, but huge, you know. I mean, the actor's a huge bloke.
I know. Not like fat, but tall.
But just really, really tall. Yeah.
When we saw him on the Doctor Extra videos, we were amazed how tall he actually was in real life.
But there's all this talk about, there's this sort of secret about the Time Lords that the Fisher King seem to know about. Now, whether or not that's going to be something which
transmissions are,
could well be. There's going to be some. There is a sort of perhaps a arc that's running through the series, although it's not as transparent perhaps as it's been in other series.
We've noticed that we've had like Bad Wolf, we've had Torchwood, we've had Missy, we've had Saxon, Mr. Saxon, we've had Clara the Impossible Girl, we've had the Silence and the Crack.
Yeah.
So Madame Kavarian.
So there is usually a theme, isn't there, through the series? I just think this one's going to be quite subtle. This year, I think. What else did you like about this particular part? Can I actually, whilst we were talking about the Fisher King?
Yeah.
Something else that I thought about is we'd seen the trailer, particularly the American trailer, where they showed the sequence where the dam burst and all the water flooded down and this creature holding his arm out was swept away. And you thought, that's a great bit, that.
We thought it was a sea devil, first of all.
Yeah. But it turned out that was the bit when he died. And you just thought, that's really bizarre. In the trailer in America, they've shown the bit where the big baddie gets killed. You know, right at the start of it. That's bizarre, isn't it?
It is.
That would be like, and Lord of the Rings spoiler coming here in case people don't know the story, but that would be like in the trailer showing Frodo throwing the ring into the Grove of Doom. You know, it's like that. Bizarre, very, very odd. But I mean, I guess by very nature of the fact that we said that the Fisher King, whilst cool, wasn't essential to the story, I guess in that fact, perhaps his death wasn't really that essential either.
No. So we had some great new characters in the overall two-parter. We had Cass, we had Lunn, we had Bennett, and we had O'Donnell are the main ones. What did you think? Well, there was they were more developed in this story. We got to see their personalities and we got to see them full stop in it a bit more. So what did you think of this?
I think their characters did develop more in the second part. I think Cass was quite well developed in part 1 anyway, as was Lunn. I think they were the two that perhaps were stronger. But you saw more of Bennett, definitely.
We did.
And more of the woman
O'Donnell.
O'Donnell, yeah. You saw more of her. But particularly Bennett, I think, was stronger in this.
I like Bennett a bit more in this part because I found him all right in the first part. It's just he didn't really have a personality or anything.
No.
He wasn't really a good character. But in part 2, we sort of saw. I love that face-off between Bennett and the Doctor.
I mean, that was a really great moment anyway, wasn't it? Because that showed you that on occasions the Doctor can still be really harsh. We had it throughout series 8, didn't we? That whole question of whether he was a good man or not.
Am I a good man?
Yeah.
Do it.
Am I a good man?
Yeah.
We had
sound
that.
like you're German.
We had that all the way through last series, but actually it was a bit of a hark back to that, because in the end, the Doctor was quite willing to let her die,
just to not change time.
Yeah, but he wasn't willing to let that happen with Clara.
No.
So Doctor's got his favourites. Can I refer you to something?
Can I just quickly ask you something?
Yes.
Do you think the Doctor would have let Cass die?
Good question, that. I'm not sure he would have done.
No.
I'm not sure he would have done. Certainly the BBC wouldn't have.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure he would have done.
No.
I guess in reality, I mean, he was trying to persuade O'Donnell to stay. Was it O'Donnell?
O'Donnell.
Yeah. He was trying to get her to stay in the TARDIS anyway, wasn't he? So perhaps to a certain extent, he sort of foresaw what was going to happen.
So, what were you going to ask?
I was going to ask you about the opening sequence and what your thoughts were. You said your thoughts were a bit different than most people's.
Okay. Now, the pre-title sequence most people liked. You weren't meant to get it. It's just, I felt it was one of the worst things about the episode. The bootstrap paradox was a good idea, but I don't know if it was actually done well.
Why didn't you like it? Was it the fact that the Doctor was talking to the screen, to you?
I don't know.
Because I think the concept was really great.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The concept of the thing was great. It's just, it just annoys me, that scene.
Didn't bother me that much.
Didn't it?
I mean, after the episode finished, I was having a look through people's comments on Doctor Who TV and things like that, and I was quite interested. You say that you think most people like that, but actually, the first few comments I wrote, most people were saying, "Oh, I really hated that beginning bit." It then seemed that later on, you got people thinking the complete opposite. So I don't know. It was a little bit different.
Yeah.
I didn't like it that much until the ending. Once you got to the ending and it sort of all linked up together.
I still didn't like it. I thought it was a very abrupt ending.
Yeah.
And I only got it the more I thought about it.
Yeah.
What was going on?
So this was the whole. What's the phrase?
Bootstrap paradox.
I mean, I've not heard of that phrase before.
Neither have I.
I mean, I know
so we had to Google it, like the Doctor said.
I know the whole concept of it, and I was saying to you earlier on, wasn't it? As I used to be a big 2000 AD reader when I was growing up, and they often had stories around that sort of concept, and they're time stories. But I hadn't heard of that phrase before.
No.
But I didn't mind it. Of course, what it did have is the Doctor picking up his guitar and playing the intro music.
What did you think about that?
I thought it was quite cool.
It was quite fun. Bit different.
I've got a feeling that it's very much a thing of our time. And when people watch this series in 20 years' time or something like that, they might cringe at that bit.
Yeah.
I think it might be one of those things which is dates very quickly. Yeah, because because it's I don't know, it's that whole fashion thing. I know rock and roll tends to stay in fashion a bit more than a lot of music, but it feels to me that in the same way as when you watch 80s things, they often look really tacky now. I think that little bit, and maybe even the Sonic sunglasses thing, might
I don't think
work. I actually like the sunglasses thing. I like the sunglasses.
I don't like the idea of them, but
well, I think they've been used to good effect.
I think this was the worst time they've been. I hope they don't become like the sonic screwdriver where they're used for everything. They don't need to be used for everything.
You don't want anything that's going to be the solution to all woes, do you?
No. You want there to be something that even the Sonics can't destroy.
Wasn't it good though that although in the end the Doctor saved the day and managed to come up with a clever ploy to get around it all. There were times in this one where you got the feeling that he didn't actually know what to do.
Yeah.
Which is quite refreshing, really.
It was.
What did you think? I mean, there was a few sort of obviously things, wasn't it? When the box opened, the sort of grave thing opened and the doctor popped out, we'd sort of guessed that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Really. So it was a little bit predictable in that respect. But what did you think of the ending, generally?
I thought it was a good ending.
Mm-hmm.
What, right at the end, or just that bit when the resolution?
The resolution to the story, really.
It was quite a good resolution, but I felt it was quite rushed.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that rushed since Into the Dalek.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I think overall the story was paced very, very well.
Yeah, overall, but that ending.
But the ending was a little bit rushed. I didn't like, and again, I think I'm on my own here, but I didn't like all the lovey-dovey, kissy stuff.
You're not on your own.
You didn't like that either?
No.
I
cringe.
Do you know? I think the thing is, I wouldn't have minded if I've got, I'm rubbish with names. What's the name? It was O'Donnell, and what was the other guy called?
Bennett.
Bennett, yeah. The bit with Bennett sort of saying about you don't know how much you love someone until you lose them, sort of thing, or what, something along those lines. When he was talking about O'Donnell, and you could see her ghost on the other side of the door, and then Lund started to basically say, "I love you" back to Cass. That bit was, I could have lived with that, but all the big kissy bit afterwards, I think I would just rather it made it less obvious than that, and even if she just sort of, because she would have already picked up from that guy's name, I've forgotten again, Bennett. She would have picked up from Bennett's lips what he was saying. I think it didn't need him to then spell that out again in sign language. I think it would have been better off if she'd have just given him like a look to sort of say, "I really like you too," or something like that. Just not so obvious, Yeah.
So, is that the end
of that review?
The questions?
Of that question? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you rate it out of 10 as an episode, not a story?
As an episode, I would give it an 8.
Me too. It's disappointing, but not as bad as Robot of Sherwood.
Now, see,
definitely.
I'd still take it back, Lou, and I think you agree with me on this one.
Yeah.
I don't think it was disappointing. I think it was a really good story. I think it was only disappointing in the context of the great first part.
No, okay. Yeah.
I think if you were to watch that part in isolation, you would have thought that was a great story.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have, because it wouldn't have been that stupid.
No, I mean you would also think what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But I think it's only because part 1 was so good that part 2 was a bit disappointing.
Yeah. So, that's the end of our review.
Yeah. Well, actually, can I, before you do go off from that?
Yeah.
If you've given it an 8 for that episode, what do you give the 2-parter as a rating?
Oh, probably a 9 overall because of the first part.
Well, I mean, we do regular listeners to this show will know that when the series isn't on, we usually have the randomizer, which has us watching a random episode from Doctor Who history, and then we started creating a chart, a sort of a leaderboard, haven't we, of all the stories we've watched or rewatched and placing them in order.
Yeah.
And although it may sound like we've been quite critical of this story, I think the very nature of the fact that we've still got it in our top 10 on that in that overall leaderboard would show that actually we think it's really good.
Yeah.
So, as I say, it's just purely down to how good last week's episode was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, wrapped up.
So, girl who died.
Mm-hmm.
The girl who died is on tonight at 2020.
Is that a bit earlier?
5 minutes.
5 minutes earlier.
So, captured by Vikings, the Doctor and Clara must help protect their village from space warriors in the future, the Maya. Outnumbered and outgunned, their fate seems inevitable. So why is the Doctor preoccupied with a single Viking girl?
So, intriguing this one, isn't it?
Yep.
It's Jamie Matheson's story, or co-written, I think, isn't it? Is it co-write between...
Co-wrote between Jamie, but mainly him, and also by Stephen Moffat.
I think the Stephen Moffat bit here, I think, is to do with the Maisie Williams character.
Yeah.
I think that very similar to how Moffat's name became attached to stuff relating to Missy in the previous series. Yeah. I think there's something around Maisie's character in this one.
But he doesn't co-write the next story.
Okay. Does he not?
No.
Okay, all right, maybe I'm wrong on that then.
Maybe there's something to do with the story arc.
Okay, all right. No, that's interesting. I assumed he came in the next one as well.
No.
What's your thoughts on this one? Because normally, well, as we'll probably expand upon in a minute when we do our feature, you're not normally a big lover of the historic episodes.
No, I'm not.
So, having seen the trailer for this story, what are you looking forward for? What aren't you looking forward for?
The clips I've seen look good.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw the first trailer, I was really, really not looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw the TV trailer, I was a bit more looking forward to it. And now I'm thinking, might be all right, but I think it won't be as good as the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And as I don't think I've said this, but my order of the season is in the order of episodes: Top, Magician's Apprentice, Bottom, Before the Flood.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I mean, I'm with you a little bit on the historic ones.
Yeah.
But the main thing I'm not so keen on with the historic ones is when they really focus in on an actual historical character.
Yeah.
So
but there is one example which we'll talk about later, which is great.
Yeah. But if you think about it, if you pick sort of people out like William Shakespeare, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria, Winston Churchill, when you talk about the sort of interrelation with those sorts of characters, I'm not a big lover of when they do that. As you say, it has been done effectively at times, and we'll come on to that later. But with this one, I think it will be okay because they're going back in time, but they're going back in time to the Vikings. And when I was growing up, I loved Vikings. The Vikings is my favourite period of history.
Was it not even above the Highwaymen?
Yeah, I absolutely loved Vikings. When I was growing up, my favourite film was a really old film with Kirk Douglas in it called The Vikings. I had this real sort of fascination with them. So I'm looking forward for it in that respect. I'm looking forward for it because Maisie Williams is great. She's a brilliant little actress. Yeah. But also the fact that it's not like, you know, I mean, I don't know the names of any Vikings in reality. You know,
Odin?
Yeah, I mean, he's a god.
Oh, yeah.
So I think...
Do I then?
I think it's going to be really good because it's just going to be set there in the same way as if it was set on planet Zois. You know, it's just like it's just throwing them into this scenario. So I don't think it will be cheesy like some of the historical ones are.
Should we?
I think it will be more light-hearted. But...
Yeah. Should we read the hints and teasers?
Yeah.
Opening line: Doctor. Which I think it's going to open with that first clip with Clara lost in space.
Mm-hmm.
Odin or the Teletubbies baby. I told you to run. That's all the help you need. That's all the help you're getting. Is this the end of the Sonic sunglasses? Premonition. Remembering in the wrong direction. Welcome to Valhalla, my ladies. The third Doctor's most famous catchphrase is said once again.
What's that then?
Reverse the polarity of the neutron flow.
Oh, right, okay.
I lost someone who matters to me. Fire and water. Ripples into tidal waves until everybody dies. I think I know why I chose it.
Okay. Is there a second batch as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And here they come.
Here they come. Yes, I am a false Odin. It's a bit of a spoiler. But we kind of knew that.
Yeah.
She has a real weight on her shoulders. Oh, Clara Oswald, what have I made of you? The Maya can get real ugly. I've always been different. All my life I've known that. That dragon is unreal. I'm so sick of losing. Don't know what that is.
Some weird
Yeah.
thing which looks like the sort of, it's like a code thing. It looks like the sort of thing you'd click onto when you're trying to access somebody's Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's such a...
Ooh, maybe.
I've reprogrammed it for human beings. Something lost. Something. To hell with you.
Okay. I think interesting things about this episode, we saw from one of the clips earlier on that we were watching, this really great sequence where it sounds like Macy's character has challenged what they called the Maya to war.
Yeah.
And these are meant to be like one of the most dangerous species in the universe. So we've never met them before, but yeah. And they look cool, actually, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They look cool. We've also got this whole thing of, we've been hinting about it a little bit in the past few weeks, but that whole thought about, is there any chance that Macy's character is linked to this discussion or this point that Missy made in the second episode around her daughter?
Forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever it is, there's obviously something about Macy's character because of the fact we see her in 2 different time zones, which would seem to indicate that she is a Time Lord as well.
Yeah.
Or certainly one way or t'other, she's going to find herself lifted from one time zone to another.
Yes.
It
says in Dawn, though, which is interesting. Girl who died, she plays Ashildr. Woman who lived, she plays Ashildr.
So it seems to indicate it is the same person.
Yeah.
Well, the clip we saw, though, it had her running and being hugged by this guy who immediately therefore assumes her dad.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not.
Yeah, she said father.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. So maybe that's wrong. It'd be unlike Stephen to be that obvious, I guess.
Yeah.
So I quite like the idea of her being.
Me too.
The Master's daughter, though, albeit. Do you think she's going to be a good character?
I knew what you were going to say. What do you mean?
Do you think she's
baddie?
Do you think she's going to be a goodie or a baddie overall?
It would be a twist if she turned out to be a baddie.
Yeah.
Quite good.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing her because, as I say, she's a cracking little actress. Really, really good. Hopefully she'll live up to expectations.
Yes. So that's probably the end.
Yep.
But now we've got some news.
We still have news.
Got some news.
Well, sir.
So, there's some ratings. So the Series 9 updated ratings. So the new ones are got a final rating for Under the Lake, which is 5.63 million. And we've got Before the Flood Overnights, which are 4.38 million, and The Owl is 83, which is a bit of a pattern. First part is 84, and the second part is 83. The first two.
So it shows you, doesn't it, that generally people obviously think the second halves don't quite live up to the first part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
These are. I'm looking back now at the season 8 ratings.
Yeah. What's the? Actually, it's really weird when you read that, isn't it? Because you look at Listen, which most people proclaim as being the best episode in that series.
Yeah.
And it's actually got the lowest AL rating, isn't it?
What, AL?
AL rating.
82. That's the lowest it is for that season. It's the same as Robot Sherwood, but they're never right, those AL ratings.
I think full stop. You got to take the ratings with a bit of pinch of salt, haven't you?
Yeah, but the AL is just a load of rubbish, and so are the ratings.
What's the viewing figures like in comparison to last time?
The viewing figures.
Ignoring Deep Breath, because Deep Breath probably a little bit different just because it's a new
So
Doctor.
the lowest was Flatline with 4.6 million, which is the same as about the same as Magician's Apprentice.
Okay. Interesting that though, isn't it? Because I mean, I guess Flatline was towards the end of the series, and you generally see the rate drop as the series goes on a little bit. Don't know. It'd be a shame if it is waning a little bit in popularity. I personally don't believe it is.
No.
I think it is more to do with just the way that people watch
and
television.
The inaccuracy of the ratings.
Because they don't necessarily bring in. They don't reflect iPlayer yet in that, do they? Or do they?
So let's read this. Overnight figures only include those who watched it live and those who recorded and watched it later that night. Final figures includes those who recorded and watched within a week, making them a more accurate measure of how many were watching. Live plus 7, which hasn't been added for anything yet, counts those who watched live and all repeats, including iPlayer, within 7 days following broadcast.
Right. Now, if I just stop you briefly there.
Yeah.
That, to me, is where the difference is. Because I think iPlayer is becoming more and more the way that people are watching this. And I think the figures will shoot up when the OWL 7 or whatever it is released.
Yeah. And the Audience Appreciation Index is a score out of 10, which is used as an indicator of the public's appreciation of a show.
Or it's just a made-up figure.
Over 90 is considered exceptional. 85 or over is excellent. And 60 or less is poor. And less than 55 is very poor. And this series has got in between excellent and all right. So basically, most of the episodes this season are excellent. They haven't got to exceptional, but that's quite hard to get to exceptional. Now, moving on in the news, Decor's gone for a few seconds. He's just coming back. I believe he's coming back now. Hello. The official synopsis for the Zygon invasion is out. So, the Zygons, a race of shape-shifting aliens, have been living in secret among us on Earth, unknown and unseen, until now. When Osgood is kidnapped by a rogue gang of Zygons, the Doctor, Clara and Unit must scatter across the world in a bid to set her free. But will they reach her in time? And can they stop an uprising before it's too late?
Am I right in thinking that the Zygon
This is on
ones,
Halloween, by the way.
Yeah. The Zygon ones are the story you're looking for most in the whole series, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about this while I
disappear
somewhere like you did?
To a mysterious place. I think there's some interesting things about the whole idea of this Zygon story. Me and Lewis were chatting about it earlier today, and I've got this sort of theory, which may be completely unfounded, but that perhaps this story is based in the past, not far in the past, but in between the period of time that we saw with Dare the Doctor and Dark Water, Death in Heaven. And that's really based on the fact that I think there's obviously a link here in terms of the end of the day, the Doctor is left fairly open-ended in terms of the Zygons and humans. You know, just sort of like stopped it, didn't it? Really, and moved on to other things. And the fact, obviously, Osgood, we saw pretty much certainly perish at the hands of Missy, in Death in Heaven.
Well, so, you had the theory.
That's what I was just saying. Yeah, that was my theory.
Oh, did you say that? I just
did you out the room. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, I'm just thinking that maybe this happened before. So we're going into the Doctor's current timeline, but in the past in terms of where we're at so far with Unit.
So we've got some more details on episodes 5 to 8 of season 9.
Ooh.
So on tonight's episode,
what do you think?
On tonight's episode, after a thrilling adventure in space, the Doctor and Clara come down to Earth with a bump when they're captured by a posse of village-dwelling, Odin-worshipping Vikings. They stand their ground in the face of an impending attack from the galaxy's deadliest mercenaries. The odds are overwhelmingly against our heroes, since their only allies in this war are the galaxy's least battle-ready Vikings and a barrel of eels. So, quote-unquote, the Doctor. No, I'm not going to lie to you. We are facing a force with vastly superior weaponry, training, armor, posture, and personal hygiene. But we have a secret weapon. Think of me as a potter. You are my clay, and over the next 24 hours I will shape this lumpen mass I see before me into a slightly different shaped mass, possibly a vase or a jug, maybe a paperweight. This metaphor is derailing. Forget the metaphor.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. And it's so Capaldi, isn't it?
It is.
Looking forward for it, guys. Looking forward for this one.
So, Woman Who Lived. When the Doctor tracks an alien artifact to England 1651, he clashes with a notorious highwayman known as the Nightmare. The pair discover they have a common goal and form an uneasy alliance. But you should never trust a highwayman, and this one has been economical with the truth. There's been no mention, for instance, of the fire-breathing beast that lurks in the grounds of the Nightmare's home.
Cool.
So, quote-unquote, the Nightmare, step aside or I shall blow your brains out. Sorry, you've been talking, haven't you? Try again, I promise to listen this time. The Nightmare, you've interrupted my robbery, sir, and you will step away if you wish to take another breath. Sorry, I was really planning to listen that time, but I basically didn't. Who do you think the Nightmare is?
Is that Macy, do you think, again?
That's what I was thinking.
Do you think... could be, couldn't it?
Could be.
Could be.
So, the fragile peace between humans and Zygons is on a knife edge. Tensions run high as factions within the Zygon community seek to incite violent action against humans. Called in by Unit, the Doctor and Clara fight to bring the situation under control. But one question remains: where on earth is Osgood? Kate, you left us with an impossible situation, Doctor. Yeah, I know it's called peace. So any other bits?
So it's exciting stuff going on here, isn't it?
Okay. So, other bits for Woman Who Lived, I missed out. Writer Catherine Tregenna likens to a buddy-buddy movie with fart jokes.
Sounds good to me. We are guys, after all.
The Doctor gets a new gadget, the Curio Scanner.
Ooh.
The Doctor is hunting something important and comes into rivalry with highwaymen. Tregenna says Maisie Williams has to encompass a lot of layers with her character. Sometimes she'll draw your sympathy, at other times she'll make you feel scared and threatened by her.
Cool.
So other bits about the Zygon two-parter. The two-parter will revisit events from the Day of the Doctor. You will see the stark reality of human Zygon coalition a few years later, and some difficult political themes are explored. Harness said, I thought that if aliens wanted to fight us, and they were fighting us from a position of weakness, they would look at how we fight wars. The Zygons are not stealing our faces, but they're stealing the ways in which we fight each other nowadays. The story has a wide scope and is set across London, New Mexico, and Beijing.
Azerbaijan.
Yeah. The Osgood's return is so key, but it becomes tricky to discuss her without spoiling. But it's not as simple as her being a Zygon.
Ooh, what can that mean?
The original title, Invasion of the Zygons, was down to Harness's inspiration from the film Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
That's a good take, actually, because it's a similar sort of theme.
Guest star Rebecca Front is playing Unit Colonel Walsh. It has a gobsmacking cliffhanger.
Wowza. So, there we have it. Some cracking stuff there, isn't it? Some real stuff to get your appetite going.
Yeah.
For the rest of this series. Any other news?
Let's end in some good news, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
John Hurt cancer in remission. So, John Hurt has been given the all clear from cancer by doctors. The War Doctor actor was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer earlier this year. Speaking yesterday evening at the Man Booker Prize ceremony in London, Hurt said, I had a final scan and it's all gone brilliantly. I had the final scan yesterday, which was Monday, and I saw my oncologist this morning on Tuesday. So I'm overjoyed, I'm thrilled. It looks great for the future, it's fantastic. An update later said earlier reports had suggested John Hurt had been given the all clear. However, his agent spoke to BBC Radio Norfolk stating, so John has been given very good news by his oncologist, but it falls short of a all clear. Nonetheless, it's very good news.
Well, we wish John all the best anyway, don't we? Because we love John Hurt.
Yeah, and we've had a few updates on that in the past, haven't we?
Yeah. No, I'm not sure whether it was whether we talked about it last week or whether it's in this week's news and we've just not had time to touch on it. But isn't there talk of John Hurt doing some of the Big Finish?
That was last week.
No, we talked about that last week.
But what do you think about him doing Big Finish? It's a shame that first of all, it's a shame that he's not returning to actual Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But it's good that he's returning to do a brand new Big Finish series.
I think it is good. I think it'd be nice to see. It'd be interesting stories to listen to, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting ones to listen to.
So this week we had the good news. We had Zygon Invasion synopsis and new ratings and everything. So now it's time to move on to our final section of the show, which is our top historical episodes, because of course we had Before the Flood, and tonight we're going to have Girl Who Died, starring Maisie Williams, and it's a historical episode, so we'll look forward to that tonight. But what other episodes does it have to compete up to? Okay.
Now, as we mentioned earlier on in the show, when it comes to historical stories, the Great Moonster is not a big fan.
No,
normally.
Not necessarily.
To the extent, actually, that when we were looking at particularly really old ones, and I think your dislike for the historic ones mainly comes back to the old 60s ones, I think.
Yeah.
Because you're not really interested in watching the William Hartnell history ones, are you?
No. Even though I've been watching a few.
Yeah, it's you'd watch all of them in the end, wouldn't you? But they're sort of like the ones you're least interested in watching.
Least, yeah.
But there have been some really good ones.
Yeah, there have. So one of my favourites is Vincent and the Doctor, but it's great. But is that only because of the opening sequence, or is it because it's overall good?
Ending sequence, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The end sequence.
The end sequence.
Did I not say that?
No, you said the opening sequence.
I thought I did.
I think, I think it is a really good episode anyway. But I think the fact that the end sequence is so good, the bit when he comes into modern day time, is such an emotional, powerful moment that it makes it one of the best Matt Smith episodes.
Yeah.
I think. The other thing about it is there's elements of that scene ordinarily I would find a little bit cheesy, but it just seems to work really, really well. What do you think, if you were to go back to classic Who, what do you think are the best classical Who historical episodes?
The best obviously you have to say Talons of Wang Tang.
Yeah. And I think that's worth the point I made earlier on about historical episodes where the historical background is the setting rather than there having to be a link with a famous person.
Yeah.
Are generally the ones that have been more effective. Yeah. And Talons is a perfect example of that.
But it's a bit racist.
Yeah, but that's only like because now, isn't it?
Of the times.
It's just because
it sort of dates a little bit. But
it does. But
overall, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant story.
Yeah.
It's just the only bad bit is the racism.
But only insofar as, I mean, it's not racist. It's just the fact that it's probably a bit stereotyped in terms of some of the English actors' portrayal of foreign characters.
Yeah, like they have the man as, you know.
Yeah.
They have that man. I forgot his name now. Mr. Sin or whatever he's called. Mm-hmm. He has like the eyes.
Yeah. So there's elements of it, but to me that's a really good historical episode.
Yeah.
Because it uses a setting of the past. Bits I don't think have worked so well. I tell you, probably a really good example of it would be The Day of the Doctor, which in itself a fantastic episode.
Yeah.
As you know, if not the best, and I did say it was the best episode of Doctor Who ever. And whether it is, I'm not 100% sure, because you've got things like Genesis to compete with. But the bit when they go back in time and meet Queen Elizabeth, I find that bit a bit cringy.
Yeah.
Very David Tennant-y, I guess. And to be fair, right from the start, the Doctor has met important characters, isn't he? Marco Polo, for instance. Right, we've not seen that one, but
no,
right from the start, he has had that interaction.
Not many people have seen that one.
No. So it's not something new that they've done in more recent times. It's always been there throughout history. But yeah, I don't know. Just to me, it just I can't believe all of these famous characters would have had the adventures that they had with the Doctor, and all of them would have kept it a secret.
I know one of them would have told.
One of them would have done, yeah. Another one that I really love.
Yeah. From
the classic series is, I can't think of the name of the episode, but the Highwayman one with Richard Mace. Visitation.
It's not. It's one of the better ones. So one of the better ones.
But again, it's because it's using a setting.
Not a. It's got characters from the past, but not like famous.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not like it's got Dick Turpin in it, for instance.
Yeah. It's not like.
Yeah. What did you make of? I mean, a real interesting take on the story was Robot of Sherwood, because in that they had them meeting Robin Hood.
Yeah.
But Robin Hood was so OTT, deliberately so, that he was just how he's portrayed in all the tales.
Yeah.
as a legend. Now, when you read the tales, it's meant to be OTT, you know. But the fact that they created him like that, I thought was really, really effective. May not be one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who, but I thought it was actually really effective the way they did that really over bloated Robin Hood.
Yeah.
What do you think is another example of a really good historical?
Well, it's hard for me to say. Don't know if there are any more.
I think that again, the ones where it's the setting,
ones.
I think there's some really good ones. Cold War.
Cold War, yeah.
I really like Cold War. Again, no famous people as a setting. If you look at the ones with the famous people in it though, like Victory of the Daleks, the ones with.
Oh yeah, I don't like that one.
No. What's the one with William Shakespeare in it?
Shakespeare Code.
The Shakespeare
That's
Code,
all right.
yeah. It's okay. I quite like that one. But it's probably a good example of what I was saying earlier on. That would he really have kept that quiet about it? Don't know.
I think he would have wrote about it in one of his books or something.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he?
Yeah. So I don't know. I like the occasional historic one.
Yeah.
As long as it's not history changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think I've got a feeling it's going to be a cracker tonight. Could be disappointed, but
I think he'll be a bit I think I'll be a bit happier by the end of it than I am now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see.
We shall see.
Okay, so is that the end of the podcast?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, do you want to do a quick MLMA?
Yes. So today it's the final MLMA episode before we have the break, which it's Fallen tonight, so stay tuned in a sec. It's going to be released, and if you're watching this on catch up, then it would have already been released, but there's one at Christmas as well as this, and there's 5 more episodes in February, which start on February the 6th. So this is the final one, but be aware of that. But it will tell you, it will remind you that it's the final one before we have a little hiatus for a couple of months.
Excellent. So, what do we have on next week's show?
On episode 130 of Doctor Who Time and Space.
Bit of a milestone there.
Yeah. We review Girl Who Died.
We'll do a preview for the next episode, which I can't remember what it's called.
Woman Who Lived.
Woman Who Lived, yeah.
Or in your words, Woman Who Waited.
Yeah, I don't know.
We have some news and views.
And we'll be doing a article about something or other, which we haven't fully decided
Probably
yet.
like top guest stars or something.
Top guest stars we talked about, didn't we?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do that.
Maybe we'll do that.
But stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
If you haven't seen it already, there's a Behind the Sofa live special, which we released earlier today, which has us talking about both parts of the 2 parts.
So that's one of the things. Watch Fallen, and watch the Under the Lake review from last week if you have not watched it yet.
Brilliant.
You can catch up on all of our reviews and all of our podcasts and everything else on the channel at Miss Lewis Moon YouTube account, or Miss Lewis Moon at weebly.com. So goodbye everyone. Hope you enjoyed the episode at 8:20 tonight. Bye.